You guys have been going crazy on the like button, like the craziest I've ever seen it. And so I want to know for this video, drop a like right now if you want me to start giving away some copies of Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War or some Call of Duty points. Drop a like. All right, what is going on? What's happening? How's everybody doing today? My name is Chuck and welcome back to a brand new video. Oh, you guys know what time it is. It is time for me to bring you guys another top 5 most overpowered classes to use here, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I know you guys love this series. I love making it, love showing you guys what I'm using, what I think is most overpowered. So yeah, let's do it. Before we get into anything further, I just want to point out, don't be weird, don't be fake, drop a like on this video, subscribe with those notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and make sure to leave down in the comment section below what's your favorite gun to use in Modern Warfare. Now let's actually get into this. So I figure we might as well start off by jumping into a gun that I really haven't put in a top 5 here, kind of like a long time, if not really honestly ever. I've been seeing this gun being used a lot more, and so I was like, okay, I need to start trying this gun out more myself, and the more I've tried it out, the more I actually like it, and I do think it's actually genuinely kind of OP. So let's actually jump into the AK-47 here. Let's go straight into the muzzle category, and let's check out some attachments that we could put on this AK. So what I always like to say is that you're going to have to stay away from everything that's not going to be a suppressor. So it doesn't matter if it's a flash guard, muzzle brake, compensator, or, well, in this case, the bayonet. I don't really know why you'd ever use a bayonet on this gun unless you're just trying to go for the look and you think it's kind of, gimmicky or whatever like that. But what we're actually going to go ahead and do is we're going to throw in the monolithic suppressor as my first suppressor attachment, or my first attachment to use. I would generally say that you should stay away from something like the lightweight suppressor if you don't happen to have the mono. Throw on the tactical if you don't have the mono. That's just going to be your best bet because it doesn't actually decrease your damage range like the lightweight actually happens to do. It still gives you that sound suppression, but the mono is ultimately going to be the best because it gives you that sound suppression and that damage range. So go ahead and slap this bad boy in there as your first attachment for the AK. So now in the barrel section, we have a few different options in here, which I do find actually pretty interesting. And we have basically all these which are exclusive to the AK-47, which means that, they function, distinctly to this gun. So we have the Spetsnaz, which is your damage range and bullet velocity, which is definitely really good. We have the 23.0 RPK barrel, which is your damage range, your bullet velocity, and your recoil control, which is, definitely a really, really solid thing. That's like your trifecta of, things that you want out of a barrel. Then we have the 8.1 compact, which is basically going to be like your AK-74U. So if you're trying to make this into like a submachine gun, then you go ahead and throw on this barrel right here. But we're not trying to do that whatsoever. We're trying to give this thing a lot of range. And so the last one we actually do have the choice of using is the 23.0 Romanian, which is actually going to be the damage range, bullet velocity, and recoil control. And this is going to be what I'm going to recommend to you guys to throw on this gun. This thing is absolutely fantastic. I mean, I love using this barrel on this gun. This actually also does block out from you using a underbarrel attachment because it's kind of got like that grip built in right there. But I mean, definitely go ahead and throw the 23.0 Romanian on. You will not be disappointed. So now we're down in here into the ammunition category. We have a few different options that we can choose from, much like the Kilo does happen to have a 50, 60, and 100 round magazine. We actually have the option here for a 40. Then we have the 5.45 39 millimeter 30 round magazine, which is basically going to make this into an SMG. This is like your lighter round ammunition. Like this is your smaller caliber. It's not going to be as hard hitting. It's just going to obviously increase your fire rate, your recoil control, because it's not as big of a caliber round to actually put down range. And the AK does happen to have a decent bit of recoil. So then we also have the 75 round drum mag, which is definitely a pretty solid option. So if I want to be you guys right here, I'm going to say go ahead and slap on the 40 round magazine, and this is going to be absolutely fantastic. You're not going to have any sort of issues. I don't feel like it's not going to be a little amount of rounds, but it's not going to be like an overbearing amount of rounds. I mean, I would definitely say 75 is fun, but I do feel like it does kind of bog me down a little bit too much for it to be kind of worth having 75 in the magazine. So I would say go ahead and slap on the 40 round magazine. It's going to be absolutely fantastic, and you're going to like this. Next, we're in here for the rear grip category, and we're trying to get ourselves a little bit more mobility with this weapon. So let's actually go ahead and check this out. So we have the granulated grip tape, which gives that aim stability, aim walking steadiness. The stipple grip tape, which is your aim down sight speed, your sprint to fire speed, and then your rubberized, which is your recoil control. And honestly, we have good recoil control, we have good aim walking steadiness, and all that stuff already. We're trying to get more mobility out of this, so that's why we're throwing on the stipple grip tape. Like I've said previously in some of my videos, you really can't go wrong with throwing on the stipple grip tape in any way, shape, or form. I mean, the stipple grip tape is just the stipple grip tape. I mean, it's good basically on any gun in the entire game, so go ahead and slap this bad boy on there. And for the last thing here, we're actually going to go into the stock category, and unfortunately, we're going to kind of ruin the variants look just a tad bit, but we're trying to also get a little bit more mobility out of this gun because the AK is definitely not exactly a super high mobility type of AR. So we have the options here here the field LMG stock, the skeleton stock, the nose stock, the FSS close quarter stock, and then we have the forge tack ultralight. And so let's actually, see that we have, this is your aim walking movement speed, which is, definitely pretty good, but not exactly what we're looking for. The FSS close quarter stock, which is your ADS speed, which, that's definitely really, really good. We have the nose stock, which is your movement speed and aim down sight speed, but I don't necessarily find that the nose stock is going to be that beneficial, at least on the AK-47 in particular. And what I find is the most beneficial is actually the skeleton stock, which gives me that aim walking movement speed and aim down sight speed. So this actually allows me to be significantly more mobile, and I feel like this is my top tier choice to run on the AK-47 in public matches. I mean, I don't really use this gun too much in Warzone, but I love this thing in multiplayer. This thing actually hits really, really hard, and this is fantastic. So this is going to be in my AK-47 build. You guys should definitely go try this out. I mean, the AK-47 is really, really good, and actually pretty underrated. All right, next up here in our top 5, we're going to be jumping into the GRAU 5.56. So let's actually hop into this here, the muzzle. Obviously, I don't want to take too much time explaining this. I always say that just use the monolithic suppressor. This is going to be my go-to attachment, my number one attachment. I mean, this basically never changes on any of my guns, so go ahead and slap this bad boy on there. This is going to be our first attachment for the GRAU 5.56. Next up, we're going to be going into the barrel section here, and so we have a few different options in our barrel section. We have the ZLR Drifter, the Tempest 26.4 Archangel, the XRK Zen Mark II, the FSS 20.8 Nexus, and then we have the FSS 11.8 Squall. And I'm just going to say to you guys right now that I don't believe the Squall and that, the XRK Zen Mark II or the ZLR Drifter are really going to be viable barrels for us to use in multiplayer, or if you want to take this into Warzone. So I'm just going to say that your two options right now are going to be between the FSS 20.8 Nexus barrel and the 26.4 Archangel. And I should say that the Nexus barrel I would have actually taken, a long while back, earlier into the seasons of Modern Warfare. I really actually liked the Nexus barrel. I thought it was actually really solid, but because they did happen to nerf the GRAU just a little bit, I've actually found that I have to use the Tempest 26.4 Archangel basically at every single point in time in order for me to be as effective as I possibly can with the GRAU 5.56. So if I was you guys, slap on the Tempest 26.4 Archangel. This thing is an absolute deletion machine, and you are really, really going to like this. Next up in here, we do have the option to go underneath to the underbarrel, unlike we did with the AK-47, and we're just going to keep this very, very simple. We're just going to go with the Commando foregrip. We don't really have to, mess around with too much of this other shenanigans down here. I mean, you could definitely run something like the Ranger foregrip if you really want more vertical recoil control. If you just feel like the recoil on this gun is just too much, I would suggest running that. But honestly, I like running the Commando foregrip, and I mean, I like, the Commando. It's so good on so many different guns, so it's definitely not going to be any different. It's not going to be any less, good on the GRAU 5.56. So go ahead and slap this on here. You're going to really like this. Now we're down in the ammunition category, and you guys know this, generally speaking, comes down to some personal preference on what you happen to like. If you want to run a 50-round magazine, or if you want to be a guy like me and run a 60-round magazine, be a 60-round magazine kind of guy. I mean, this is kind of how it is. Like, I'm always about that 60 rounds. If it's between a 50 and a 60, 10 times out of 10, 7 days a week, 24/7, I'm going to be going with this 60-round magazine. It's just kind of really how it is, kind of how I vibe with, the weapons, and I really enjoy this. So go ahead and put this on. And last but definitely not least, we're going to be in here on the stock category. So we have a few different things we can choose from here. So we have the FSS Blackjack, the XRK Strike Light 3, the no stock attachment. Honestly, you guys, I'm just going to go straight in here, and we're going to go balls to the wall with this. No stock on this. This is going to be, the attachment I'm going to go for, because it gives me that movement speed, that aim down sight speed. And even though they did happen to kind of nerf the no stock attachment, actually it's really, really good on the GRAU 5.56 still. And especially if you have the Archangel barrel in there helping with your recoil control, and of course that Commando foregrip, you're really still going to be lasering people across the map while still getting some really, really good movement speed and ADS speed. If you definitely don't want to do something like the no stock, you could go through on like a stipple grip tape, and that's definitely, really solid class setup as well. But I really like having the no stock on this. I've been really vibing with it here recently, so go ahead and slap on the no stock for the GRAU 5.56, and I mean, man, you ain't gonna regret it. It's definitely really good. All right, now it's time to jump in here to actually one of my more favorite assault rifles to use in multiplayer in Warzone currently, which is going to be the M13. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, I got an absolute banger of a class setup. So normally speaking, I jump right in here to the muzzle category, and we're gonna throw in like the mono or something like that. But honestly, we're gonna skip right over this because we're doing something a little bit different here with this this build. So we have the barrel section. Now we have the Tempest Mini, the Tempest Cyclone, and then the Tempest Marksman. Normally speaking, I'm telling you guys to take the Tempest Marksman because it's the longest barrel, that damage range, bullet velocity, recoil control. The trifecta is what it happens to give us. But I'm actually going to go here and throw on the Tempest Cyclone because, I actually really, really like this. Like the bullet velocity, sound suppression, it's actually really good on this gun. And I've been messing with this a lot more recently, the integrated monolithic suppressor, and it's so good. So go ahead and slap this on here, man. I've been really vibing with this a lot. Now we're in here on the underbarrel section, and honestly, we're not going to go with what you guys normally think, which would be the Commando foregrip. I'm going to tell you guys to use something that's a little bit out of box, a little bit out of pocket, you know what I'm saying, for, you know, an assault rifle. I'm going to say use the Merc foregrip, because the way I'm building this gun is going to be almost like a hybrid between an AR and an SMG. You're going to have fantastic, you know, recoil control, but you're also going to be extremely mobile, and that's what I love, you know, when I'm playing a game, is I like to make myself the most mobile possible, and of course the most lethal. Sometimes you have to sacrifice, you know, one or the other. More often than not, you have to sacrifice one or the other, but when you can actually try to get the best of both worlds, or as much of best of both worlds as possible, this is, you know, basically going to be what we can do here. So slap on the Merc foregrip. It is really good. Now we have the ammunition category, and I mean, there's basically no sort of, you know, real thing in here. I mean, you have like the .300 blackout rounds, which, I mean, they're definitely cool. I feel like they're a little bit gimmicky. I don't find that I'm ever going to use a 30-round magazine on the M13. Like, it just has such a fast fire rate that I just don't think it's viable, even in multiplayer when people don't have armor on. In Warzone, it's just, you're just going to be getting hit markers. You're going to have to, you know, spend, you know, like 1, 2, 3 magazines just to take somebody out. It's absolutely ridiculous, so don't ever throw that on there. We're just going to go with the 60-round magazine, because you guys know the type of guy I am. You guys be watching the videos. Thank you so much. So we're going to throw on the 60. In the spirit of giving ourselves a little bit more mobility, we're going to be going straight in here to the rear grip section. So we have the granulated grip tape, the stipple grip tape, the rubberized. This gives me that recoil control, and this gives me the aiming stability and walking steadiness. And of course, this stipple gives me that aim down sight speed, that spring the fire speed, which I'm desperately looking for in this gun to make it more mobile, the most I possibly can, to kind of make it that hybrid, you know what I'm saying? So go ahead and slap the stipple grip tape on here. Fantastic choice for basically any gun. And to finish out our M13 build here, we have, you know, basically something that I would actually, you know, kind of go through here. I'm going to explain this to you. So we have the Forge Stack Stalker stock, which is your aiming stability. You have the nose stock, which is your movement speed and aim down sight speed. Your FSS close quarter stock, which is your aim down sight speed. And your M13 skeleton stock, which is your aim walking movement speed and your aim down sight speed. So it kind of is a little bit of a toss up between, you know, the M13 skeleton stock or the nose stock attachment. What I've actually been running a lot more here recently is the nose stock attachment, just so I can get the maximum movement speed and aim down sight speed. I find this is actually pretty good. It's not the most like recoil effective, you know, efficient, I should say, but if you wanted to have a little bit more control in your recoil, I would suggest going with the M13 skeleton stock. But if you can deal with any type of recoil, I mean, you know, the nose stock attachment is definitely really good. And this is one of my favorite M13 setups right now. It's just so good. And I mean, it's very mobile. You can see it's just how compact it is. I mean, it's really lethal. Now we're jumping in here to a kind of meta slash off meta type of gun, which is the Kilo 141. And honestly, we're gonna make a really solid build out of this. And I mean, y'all are gonna really thank me for this one later. So much like the M13, we're actually gonna kind of skip over entirely the muzzle attachment category, because we're gonna be going here to the barrel section, and we're gonna be starting off with this first. So we have the 16.6 SOCOM, the 19.8 Prowler, and then the Singard Arms Whisper. And if we're skipping over the barrel section, or I mean the muzzle section, we're going straight to the barrel. You guys know that that means I'm gonna need a suppressor anyways. So we're gonna be going straight in here with the Singard Arms Whisper, which is your sound suppression, bullet velocity. Once again, with the, you know, the monolithic integrals, I've been actually really liking these things a lot more recently. And the Singard Arms Whisper is fantastic. Like, I didn't realize how good this actually was until I sat down and really put some hours into it. And I mean, man, like, this is actually really good. So go ahead and put this on here as your first attachment. Next up in here is the underbarrel section. So let's actually go through here. This is going to be a little bit more similar to the M13 build we just happen to have. And so that means that we're actually going to skip over the Commando foregrip, which would 100% be my normal recommendation, because the Kilo doesn't have a lot of recoil if you use the different barrels and the suppressor and stuff like that. But because we're actually trying to get, you know, the most mobility out of this possible, not a standard Kilo build for a lot of range, we're actually going to go down here and use the Merc foregrip, because this gives me that recoil control and that hipfire accuracy. This is going to make me much more lethal in closer range situations. So having the Merc foregrip on here is going to be absolutely fantastic. And I mean, you're going to really like this. I was never a big person to use a Merc foregrip, especially on like an AR, but I mean, using the Merc foregrip on this AR, I mean, it just works. So like I was explaining earlier with the AK, and then, you know, some other guns that I've explained in the past, I mean, you basically have a couple of different ammunitions here. So we have the 50, the 60, and the 100-round drum mag. Honestly, I mean, this is personal preference at the end of the day. You guys know what I'm going to go with. 60 rounds. I mean, I used to always go with the 100-round drum mag, but I just found it to not be nearly as good as I was really hoping. And I do believe they kind of nerfed it new, and they nerfed the no stock attachment. That kind of, you know, persuaded me to not use this, because I really couldn't use no stock as much anymore, especially on the Kilo 141. And so I ended up dropping right down here to the 60-round magazine. So this is going to be what my suggestion is for this gun. I mean, I really like the 60 rounds, so slap this on here. You're going to like it. For our rear grip section, let's actually take a little bit of a look at this. I mean, I don't really think I have to explain too much here, since we're, you know, we're pretty much a few classes in here. We're going for mobility, and you guys know what gives us mobility. The stipple grip tape. You know what I'm saying here? Aim down sight speed, sprint to fire speed. Good on every single weapon. I don't want to repeat myself too much. It's really good. Go ahead, try it out, put on the Kilo 141. You'll thank me later. So we're once again here in the stock category like we were with the M13, and this is actually going to be a little bit interesting. So we have the Forge Stack Ultralight, which is your aim walking movement speed. We have the Sync Guard Arms Sniper Pro, which is your aiming stability. The No Stock Attachment, which is your movement speed, aim down sight speed. Then we have the FSS Close Quarter Stock, which is your aim down sight speed. And what I'm actually going to go with is not the No Stock Attachment. It's actually going to be the FSS Close Quarter Stock. And I'll tell you what, when I put this on here, I was absolutely floored at how good this gun actually became and how much of a laser beam it was. I used to run the No Stock Attachment on there, and I found it was absolutely fantastic. But when I wanted to be a little bit more of a laser beam and still actually get all that mobility, I found that the FSS Close Quarter Stock was just, you know, it's second to none. It's so good. So this is going to be my Kilo build. Y'all gonna have to try this out, much like all the other ones. You know what I'm saying? This is real good stuff right here. Don't miss this. I mean, this is probably my favorite Kilo build I've honestly ever made. Now for our last gun here in our top 5 most overpowered, this is going to be the Ram 7, the Reticent, Reticent, whatever you want to call it. I'll just call it the Reticent, whatever it is. Anyways, let's jump in here. So we have the muzzle. We're just going to keep this pretty basic here, unlike the other previous 2 classes. We're going straight into the monolithic suppressor, sound suppression, damage range, both 2 things we actually like. It's the duo. We can't get the trifecta out of our muzzle, so this is going to be what we're going with here. So monolithic suppressor is always fantastic. Now let's jump right in here to the barrel section. We have a few different options in here. The F-Tac 13.5 Compact, the Forge Tac Eclipse, then we have the FSS Ranger. And honestly, you guys know that I'm not going to go for anything that's going to increase my ADS speed, my movement speed. That really isn't going to give me any sort of like, you know, recoil or like damage type of benefit here. And especially on the Ram 7, we do need that recoil control. So then we have, and obviously if we go down here with the Forge Tac Eclipse, which is your damage range bullet velocity, but there's still no recoil control. So if we're trying to get recoil control, we have to go with the FSS Ranger. And to be honest with you guys, I'm going to say that there really isn't any sort of reason for you to not run the FSS Ranger at every single point in time on this gun anyways. It's just automatically going to be the best barrel to run on this gun, no matter what. For the underbarrel section, we can keep this pretty simple. We don't have to get too much in depth with it. We're just going to keep it right here on the Commando foregrip. First attachment you unlock happens to more or less be one of the best. If you need some more recoil control, then you can definitely go down here and use something like the Ranger foregrip, which will really help out. But honestly, I'm just going to say keep it on the Commando foregrip. It's fantastic. I mean, there's no real reason to deviate from it. I've been using this all year, and I mean, ever since the Ram 7 came out, the Commando has been my staple attachment on this gun. Unless I'm playing a little bit of Warzone, then sometimes, you know, I swap out to the Ranger, but you know what I'm saying, multiplayer lobbies, I'm using the Commando. So yeah, this is my go-to. Well, because it's the Ram 7, we don't really have much of a choice here in terms of our magazine. It's basically either run the stock 30 rounds or you run the 50 round magazine. So unfortunately, there's no 60 round, and you guys, you know I would 100% go for the 60 round, but because we can't do that, we're going for the 50 round magazine here. This is going to be, you know, my attachment. And last but definitely not least, we're going to be taking this a little bit of a different direction than some of the other ones here. We're going straight into the laser category. So we have a few different options in here. So the 1MW lasers, your hip fire accuracy, this gives you the benefit of the hip fire with no cons. The enemies cannot see your lasers. So that's, you know, it's definitely not, you know, bad, but it's not really that good. So the 5MW lasers, your hip fire accuracy and your sprint to fire speed, which is, you know, definitely really good. And then the last one's going to be your aim down sight speed, your aiming stability, your aim walking status with a tac laser. And the reason, actually, we're going to choose the tac laser right here. The reason we're choosing this is because the aiming stability and the aim walking steadiness, and just because we need a little bit more of that when we're firing our gun. I just want this gun to be as stable as possible. The iron sights are very, very usable, and I absolutely love it. You could definitely swap it, you know, in between, you know, just depending on like what your play style is, and if you feel like one's going to benefit you more than the other, it's not going to make or break this setup. I mean, this is a pretty interchangeable attachment right here, but I do find the tac laser and the 5MW laser can be better than running something like the stipple grip tape. You just have to watch out that, you know, hey, you know, the people are going to see your lasers, so that's kind of like your up and down side right there. But we're just going to slap with the tac laser. This is my Ram 7 setup. You guys should definitely check this out. Absolutely love it. Ram 7, probably the fastest killing guns in all of Modern Warfare. Well, that's all I got for you guys here within today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, slap a like on it, subscribe with notifications turned on. Make sure you guys comment down in the comment section below. Go check out these other videos here up on screen. With that being said, I'll see you guys back here again tomorrow with another brand new video. Just remember, don't triple cap, don't be Randy, and I'm out. Peace.